in the lower 30s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
A fresh take on local, regional, and national news. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe, brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
And welcome to a Tuesday. We're continuing to talk about the weather. Not as bad as we thought it was going to be this morning. A pretty bad night last night. Some really treacherous, icy roads in the overnight hour, but the weather seems to have improved a bit. The ice and the rain, the ice and the drizzle of stuff coming down, and got a little bit of light snow precipitation still floating around, maybe a little bit of rain drizzle coming down. But the roads are not that treacherous, icy roads they were. But we will continue to watch the roads for you, the schools, the weather, all of that this morning, kind of top of the hit parade once again here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Child homelessness is a growing problem in West Virginia. We're going to talk with some folks from West Virginia Kids Count about how they are looking at child homelessness in the Mountain State. Charter schools, emergency powers, and the ability of social welfare agencies to discriminate are among the legislative stories that are on the agenda for discussion today. We'll talk with Brad McElhenney from Metro News about that. In the aftermath of Trump's acquittal, calls are mounting for a congressional investigation into the Capitol insurrection. Some in the GOP are retaliating against their own who voted to convict. This and many other stories out of the nation's capital with our D.C. reporter Tom Squitieri coming up in only a matter of moments. In the words of Zach Petty from the Big Seven, the beast that swung through the Ohio Valley is wrapping up, referring to Winter Storm Uri. Light precipitation, stray chance of some freezing drizzle this morning. Might be some slick spots on the roadways, as I mentioned. Surface temperatures will begin to fall as we move from morning to afternoon. So it's not sheets of ice. It's not that treacherous ice that it was overnight, but wet roads, low temperatures, that always can mean slippery roads and at least patches of ice. So be aware of that. Add into it that we're going to see some breezy winds, 10 to 15 miles an hour, maybe gusting up to 30 miles an hour today. So winds will be playing a factor as well. And just for the heck of it, I'll point out that in addition to things getting a little bit better this morning, they're going to get worse tomorrow night, basically, where we're going to have snow coming back tomorrow night and into Thursday. And that's the day I go for my second COVID shot. And I don't go out much at all. So only one thing I got to go out for, and I can't put that off. So I'll probably be braving the snow on Thursday for that. Temperature has dropped a little bit, 27 degrees, Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. Winds at 15 miles an hour right now, so it feels like 15. Winds are at 15 miles an hour, and it feels like it's 15 degrees. 27 at the airport, 27 here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, and 27 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. A reminder to you, if you're watching us on Facebook Live video, number one, thank you. Number two, be sure to like us as you watch the Facebook Live video feed, and share the video feed with your timeline and or your news feed and any other groups that you might be in, so more and more people get a chance to see and hear and know what we're doing. We're not doing anything all exciting. I'm just sitting here in my home studios. But by the way, I was thinking during the break, I'm going to move this camera around one of these days. If you look in the Facebook Live feed, I mean, you see my ugly mug, and then you see my nice, my Action Comics Superman poster on the back wall, and Mount Pilatus, where I was a couple years ago, and the dancing ladies that I bought on a cruise at an art auction, and so on. You'd think this is kind of a nice-looking room. You should see the desk next to me. I was trying to find some stuff on this desk. Oh, my God. What a mess it is. What an absolute thorough and complete mess it is. So I was thinking during the break, one of these days I'll get the camera and turn it on that desk and let you see what it's really like here inside. All right, that's enough of that. Let's go to Tom Squitieri, our D.C. reporter. Tom is here. Good morning, Tom.
Hey, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday.
It's another Tuesday. It means it's Squitieri time. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
In the aftermath, is the nation's capital recovering from the Trump trial now?
I think it's on the road to recovery. I mean, they weren't here yesterday. That's typical, right? So there you go, back in pattern.
Back to normal.
I know it was President's holiday, President's Day. So yeah, I think it is going to try. Here's the reason why I'm qualifying it, Howard. First of all, the fencing is still up everywhere where it was placed after January 6th in advance of the inauguration. That means roadways, for those who have visited our nation's capital, the roads around the Capitol are blocked off. You have to do major detours to get from the west side of the city to the east side, in that lower part by the mall. That's still there. The word is out that the Guard is, of course, going to remain here until at least March and perhaps later. So in that sense, the overtones, the overshadowing of what happened on January 6th and then the impeachment trial, are still here, so very visible and very have an impact on residents, certainly, and visitors at the very least. It'll be interesting now to see how Congress gets back to business for them. There's budget talks, of course. There's still a lot of confirmation hearings to take place, including that of President Biden's nominee for the head of the CIA. So there's some critical posts still to be discussed and voted upon. There's action, if Afghanistan is a problem. We have new committee chairs over in the Senate because the Democrats now chair the committees. So, we have new chairs in there. And so we have sort of like the Biden administration is getting started, I think, now. This is kind of like its first week, in a sense, with the Trump impeachment matters done for the moment.
So things are going to settle into somewhat normalcy. Although I'm wondering, I was thinking as you were talking about, National Guard still being there and some of the barriers up and so on. Is this going to be like it was after 9/11? Is D.C. going to be perpetually changed in terms of its security, I guess, for lack of a better word?
That's a very good question. That's a concern and an observation many are talking about more and more these days. After September 11th, the Secret Service and others took the opportunity to put in safety and security issues and close off streets they had longed to close off even before September 11th. In other words, you used to be able, people may forget that you were able to drive on Pennsylvania Avenue in front of the White House, and now you can't, and there's other things like that were put in place. We see a lot of the Jersey barriers and then more better looking barriers around buildings like the State Department and elsewhere because of September 11th. And of course, we all know what happened in airports for all of us. That is a concern that there's going to be not so much increased security measures around the Capitol, which is a very vulnerable area. You know, there really weren't fencing around how you could sort of walk right up to the Capitol, as was demonstrated in the pre-January 6th days. There is concern that there's going to be these measures that are kept into place now, or at least some of them, because of what happened on January 6th. And because, Howard, but this is something that it's important, I think, to point out. The threat at the Capitol was a domestic threat. It wasn't an international threat, not minimizing what happened on 9/11, of course. But it's a domestic threat. That means people are already in this country and could drive to Washington, D.C. or anytime they wished and try again, or elsewhere, to other state capitals or other facilities. So it's a whole different kind of threat. And there's a big debate that's starting already about how do we address that threat through law enforcement, because domestic terrorism is called different things in different parts of the country. And so you don't have this consistent definition of it that makes legal action against those who are domestic terrorists that more challenging. That's sort of off track of what you asked, but I think that's your observation is a great one about what kind of physical changes may happen on a permanent basis in D.C., or at least more permanent basis, and then also what kind of personal security measures. Now, of course, the members of Congress have to pass through a magnetometer to get into Congress, to the Capitol building. They didn't have to do that before. So there are things like that.
If they choose to. Some of them
Well, if they
apparently are
don't,
going
they
around
get
it, right?
fined. Now they get fined. Now they get fined if they don't do it. Yeah, they can choose to ignore it, and they will be fined. And I don't know how that will play out, but you're right. It's up to them. But that's an example of a change right there.
For a long time, air quotes, domestic terrorism has been known to be and identified as a serious problem in this country. There have been a lot of folks in intelligence who say it is the bigger threat, really, than international terrorism. But as you point out, it's kind of hard to get your hands around it. Of course, it's kind of hard to get your hands around international terrorism too, but it's hard to get your hands around domestic terrorism because it does take a number of different fronts. And I have always felt like there's been a reticence to really attack domestic terrorism until you've seen an actual threat being made, or until there's actually, something real concrete they can go to. I don't get the sense that we've been, and of course maybe it's because they've done it quietly, but I don't get a sense that we've been paying enough attention to domestic terrorism over the last number of years.
Again, I agree with your observation. After Timothy McVeigh in Oklahoma City happened, it got on people's radar, and there's statistics out there, which I don't have in front of me, so I'm not going to try to recall them, but the domestic terrorist attacks and the damage they've caused in lives and loss of property, et cetera, are greater than those from foreign attacks, putting 9/11 aside. The threat has been from domestic terrorists. Here's something that happened over the weekend. It kind of came, not happened, here's the statistic. The Navy has acknowledged, they were being questioned by reporters, and they've acknowledged, as you know, the military is trying to get the handle on extremism in their ranks, and they don't have any data on it. The Navy has acknowledged that they have dismissed people from the ranks because of ties to white supremacist groups or extremism, or, again, this whole vague area of danger zones, okay? But they don't know how many. In other words, they didn't say that, Seaman John Jones was dismissed, or let go of the service, and then discharged for unruly behavior or something like that. But they don't put down he was tied to a domestic terrorist organization or a white supremacist group. It's in the Navy code that they can do that. So even in the military, which is pretty good about record keeping, they don't have a handle on how many of these folks they have. They acknowledge they've dismissed people on these grounds. So I think that's kind of the larger issue that you're referring to. That people we know it's out there. It hasn't been taken perhaps as seriously, or at least as visibly to you and I and others, as other threats have been. Now we know, for example, I don't know if I mentioned this on your show last week or not, but I know I mentioned the conversation with a friend. I said, one story I will agree to do off the record, never even indicated. I'd like to sit down one day with whoever knows how many international terrorist attacks have been thwarted by us, and I'm sure there's quite a few. And we don't know this, of course, because it's sort of like when I was a young crime reporter. You could always talk about how crime numbers go up or down, but what you can't really write about, what's harder to report on, is how measures enacted, say, by a local police force deter crime. It's difficult to say. You could say, robberies went down 20%. Well, is that because they have foot patrols maybe in these certain neighborhoods? Maybe, again, efforts sometimes to mitigate a threat before it happens are difficult to categorize.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw during the trial more video come out of the insurrection, and we're seeing some more coming out even after that, suggesting that there was more organization to at least some of those who were part of the insurrection than it may have seemed at first. It was not just a bunch of people getting all riled up in the heat of the moment. There seemed to have been some organization behind at least some of those folks, which I would think fall in that category of domestic terrorism, which I assume our intelligence agencies and law enforcement agencies are investigating aggressively in the wake of the insurrection.
Yeah. Well, beforehand, I and others in the media, as well as law enforcement, they saw traffic on emails between groups that you were mentioning, and we don't have to give them a name on the air now, but there are these groups that we're planning, let's come there and we're planning to storm the Capitol, we're going to do this, this, and this, and come prepared, and, pretty blatant what they plan to do. Now, people say, that's a lot of talk. Well, it wasn't, and it showed that there was sign of preparation. You're absolutely correct that there were people who sort of got caught up in the moment who were angry and wanted to do this. And like many mobs, that's what happens. You have a few people who get it going, and then others join in, caught up in the moment or acting out which they wanted to do secretly but didn't have the courage to do alone, or whatever reasons. But you're right. The evidence presented by the House managers underscored this. It underscored how dangerous it was for members of the House and Senate, how close some of them came to confronting the mob or being confronted by the mob or harmed by the mob.
Yeah.
And I think that it's something that's not going to go away. Whether President Trump is quiet or not, that group of people was out there, and they're going to plan something else. And that's the feeling of law enforcement now, and it's certainly the feeling of Pentagon folks that it's time that they really get going on this issue within their ranks. 20%.
Nancy Pelosi yesterday said,
I think 20% of the those already arrested and charged were veterans or either inactive or veterans. That's a pretty high number considered the percentage of people in the military to our whole population.
Yeah, exactly. Nancy Pelosi yesterday said she wants a full-scale, independent 9/11-style commission to investigate the Capitol insurrection, which I must say makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, for all the reasons we just talked about, how wide was the threat known and why wasn't it taken seriously, or was it taken seriously and what happened? It doesn't have to point fingers necessarily, but it needs to point to some answers and conclusions because, again, I'm repeating what I just said, this is not going to go away, and these domestic terrorists are domestic terrorists. That means they're here. So, we're going to have to be aware of the dangers in the future and what are the best things to do to try to mitigate the threat.
The Republicans are still struggling with what to do inside their own party. Some of those who voted to convict President Trump, who voted with the Democrats, are facing serious blowback, censure, and other things. The party is still really not sure where it wants to go yet. Mitch McConnell voted to acquit, but says he really thought that Trump was responsible. I mean, they've really got they're dancing on a coin here, it seems to me.
Yeah, they're split. I don't know what the struggle is like. Obviously, I'm not a member of any political party, but for example, in your neighboring state, of Pennsylvania, Republican county groups are censuring or moving to censure Senator Toomey, a Republican who voted to convict. Now, Senator Toomey is a conservative Republican. He moved the Republican Party. He was a leader in moving the Republican Party in Pennsylvania from a more moderate party to a more conservative party. That's his track record. I'm not saying that in a critical manner. It's just an observation. So to consider him not conservative enough for your party, same time I think it's the county chairman in Washington County, Pennsylvania, which abuts the Panhandle, West Virginia. He basically said, we didn't send Senator Toomey down there to do the right thing or to vote his conscience. I mean, we did not send him there to vote his conscience. This is a direct quote. We did not send him there to, quote, do the right thing or whatever.
Isn't that an amazing quote? We did not send him there to vote his conscience.
Right. Right.
Stop and think about
that. So there's a part of the Republican Party right next in your neighborhood there.
Yeah. And you have, is it Louisiana where they're beginning
Louisiana and North Carolina. Senator Burr in North Carolina is going to be censured apparently, at least by either the state GOP or some of the county GOPs. And similarly in Louisiana, the senator there who voted to convict is also going to be censured. So, now, Toomey's retiring. Senator Burr, I think, is retiring in 2 years. But the other guys are, they're up for re-election at some point. Senator Collins just got re-elected, so she's probably okay. And in Maine, that's not going to hurt her, that vote. But to your circling back to your original point, is the Republican Party, trying to find its way? Here's two schools of thought that I've heard and read. One is that there are a group of Republicans who just think they need to leave the party and start a new party. I think that's hard to do right now. It's hard to have a new party out of this rubble because, a lot of the state parties, as we've seen in county party mechanisms, are sort of on the Trump side. And then there's the other theory that the Trump loyalists have taken over so much of the party, as I was just saying, that the moderates or even the conservatives, the old-line conservatives like McConnell or Pat Toomey, can't get it back now. So you're right. It's an interesting side, and it goes back, I was thinking about this, it goes back to your original question to me about is Congress going to sort of get back to normal? And playing out in all that is this whole rift, if you want to call it that, in the Republican Party, how that is going to have an impact on what happens in the Senate in particular.
New Gallup poll is out on this business of a third party idea. In this new Gallup poll just released yesterday, 63% of Republicans think a new third party is necessary. I think that's an awfully high number. I'm not sure I really believe that. At the same time, 40% of Republicans and independents who lean Republican say they want the party to become more conservative. 34% want to stay about the same. 24% want it to be more moderate. Those numbers aren't, 24, 34, and 40 are disparate numbers, but it goes to show there's a real spread within the party itself about where the party should go.
Yeah. I in my earlier days as a reporter, I actually was somewhat of an expert, and this is a rare moment of me bragging, on third parties and independent candidates. I carved out that beat while at USA Today. It was really fascinating for many reasons, and I learned the actual dynamics of, people like to say, well, we'll vote for a third candidate if there's one in the presidential race because we don't like the choices, and that rarely happens. The last time a whole national movement was truly galvanized and the basis of a real third party was possible was when Ross Perot ran the first time in '92 against President Bush and Governor Clinton. And he pulled, I think, 19% of the vote that year, which was the highest since Teddy Roosevelt. And he laid the foundation for the Reform Party, which, while he ran it, was a viable organization that could have become a third party, a counter party in this country. But once he left and the party fell apart. And I always thought that was interesting, Howard, because the same kind of anger that we see today started out as frustration by a lot of the people who were Democrats and Republicans who supported Perot, what he was saying. And, in many ways, as the bumper sticker used to say, Ross was right. And that anger was just, again, ignored by both parties. I'm not saying, I want to make it clear, I'm not saying the Reform Party led to Trump. I'm saying that frustration among many voters has been there a long time, seeking a kind of party that represents them, or people who represent them, or politicians who represent them. And so your statistics that you just cited from members of the Republican Party, somewhat this, somewhat that, underscores this, that somewhere out there is a party that would deal with sort of conservative, moderate party, perhaps, that would take in a lot of the people who believe their voices haven't been heard, yet is a fair party to all.
I do want to point out, which I can't remember if you and I talked about this last week. I talked about it with maybe Bob Ney earlier this week. When Obama was first elected in 2008? Whenever he was first elected, 8. There was a lot of talk about the Republican Party is now dead. That's it. The Republican Party is dead. They'll never win another election. We've turned the tide, right? And then 8 years later, along came Trump. Proclaiming the death of a party is something that we love to do. The reality is every party needs to adapt. Democrats will have to adapt to Biden, and Biden will have to adapt to the party, and the Republicans will as well. Third parties are difficult, and it's because they generally aren't third parties. They're generally independent candidates that strike a chord with somebody. And It's one thing to rally around a person. It's something totally different to create a whole third party, and that's where things tend to fall down.
Yeah, let me add, I know we're running out of time, so let me quickly add, and here's one thing that the two parties are always united on, is to keep out a third party. If you look at ballot access laws and attempts to get on the ballot in all 50 states plus, it's very difficult for both independent candidates or a new party to either get on the ballot or stay on the ballot automatically as Democrats and Republicans do. Those two parties don't want to have competition from a legitimate third party or legitimate independent candidacies. So that's a further challenge.
And we in the media often are partly responsible for that too. When it comes times for debates, I'm not talking about presidential debates, although I am, but gubernatorial debates and other things, we tend to put the Democrat, the Republican together, and over here in the corner, the third party is going, "What about us? I'm on the ballot." Well, we're sorry, we're only going to deal with the important people. I mean,
your state,
tend to.
Recently, your state has the Constitution Party as one of its third parties, and it runs candidates, and your point is exactly right. Are those people going to be in debates for governor and senator if they put up candidates? It's a legitimate party. It's on the ballot.
The Mountain Party is a legitimate party, as a qualified party in West Virginia as well. And you don't see them on the debate stage for the Senate or anything of that nature. And I fault us. I mean, I probably concur with the decisions made by our broadcast organizations to not have them on the stage, but that's part of the problem if they can't get access. Hey, Tom, I got to run. I appreciate your time.
Okay,
good.
thanks.
Tuesday is always fun. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
All right, talk to you soon. Tom Scudieri from the nation's capital. Every Tuesday he is with us. Brad McElhenney is with us so often because there's so much going on all the time anymore, but especially during the legislative session. There were a couple of things that happened yesterday, and at least one that's going to happen today that I want to talk about. So we'll turn our attention to the legislature in Charleston coming up next here on the Watchdog Morning Show. I see I got a bunch of text messages coming in. I'll try and catch up on those as well. It's 8:35, 25 till the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show, and we are looking at still 27 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 15-mile-an-hour winds makes that 27 feel like 15. So 27 at the airport, 27 here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, 27 at the Robinson Auto Group studios, downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Brad McElhenney and I will talk about what's going on in Charleston. Coming up next on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time for
Back in a minute, Biff. I'm back.
This week's AP Top 25. West Virginia's number 13. Baylor comes in at number 2. Oklahoma up to 9. Texas is at 12. Texas Tech number 15. And Kansas gets back into the poll at number 23. Now that is 6 of 10 schools from the league. And Oklahoma State is just one spot out of the poll. They come in at number 26. Schedule news, the Mountaineers learning on Monday that their postponed game at Baylor has been rescheduled for next Thursday. That means WV will now play 3 straight in the state of Texas, starting with the Longhorns on Saturday, TCU a week from today, and then that Baylor game next Thursday. There will be more tweaks. West Virginia still needs to have postponed games against TCU, Oklahoma State, and Baylor, all scheduled for Morgantown. There's a chance West Virginia may not get all 18 league games in. That is today's Mountaineer Report. It's brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection.
Island Pawnbrokers is now your local firearm dealer. In a pinch? Need cash quick? See us before going to the big box stores. Paying top dollar for firearms, gold, silver, tools, coins, and electronics. Don't lose your good credit. Let us give you instant cash. Stop by 2 North Broadway Street on Wheeling Island, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Island Pawnbrokers. Stop in for instant cash.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Now's a great time to go Toyota.
Alrighty, thank you.
In gas or hybrid models. Now, get up to $1,000 cash back from Toyota through March 1st. For more offers, shop Toyota's official website for deals. Buyatoyota.com. Then see your Toyota dealer. Go Toyota, and let's go places.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Tuesday. Mostly cloudy, a few flurries, a snow shower or two, a daytime high near 32. Mainly clear through the evening and the overnight, with temperatures down to about 8 degrees for the low. Clouds and sunshine mixing for your Wednesday, with highs in the lower 30s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
Follow us on Facebook for the latest news, show updates, podcasts, alerts, and live video streams from the Valley's only network dedicated to local, community-driven talk radio, The Watchdog. Give us a call and tell us what you're thinking. Locally, 304-214-1600. Out of the area, toll free, 866-514-1600 or 304-232-8255.
He rambles, he rants, and sometimes he sings. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
I don't think I have been singing at all this morning. I don't think I've sang a single song. Give me time. We're only halfway through. Text line 304-214-1600. Area roads, not too bad this morning now. Really treacherous overnight. Super ice in the nighttime hours. But this morning, the ice is kind of gone. It's a little bit wet. There's some wind blowing around. You'll find some patches out there, but it's mainly just wet roads to worry about this morning. Off the text line at Howard, traveling from Elm Grove to Moundsville to the health department, everything was just lightly wet, but no ice encountered whatsoever the entire way. All the roads look good all the way down along Route 2. Just another update from one of our listeners here. I cannot verify this. I will share this with you as from a text person, but I cannot verify this. If you're supposed to, this is from a text line. If you're supposed to get Pfizer at the Highlands today, it has been canceled. They're out of that vaccine. They only have Moderna today. I know today was a second dose of Moderna for people who got it mid-January. I didn't know they were doing Pfizer. I can't verify what that texter said, but if you're supposed to get Pfizer and haven't been contacted, maybe you want to check with the health department. I do not know. And then, of course, we're going to get some political things in here. Howard, have your liberal brothers and sisters commented on the issues with wind and solar outages in Texas? The windmills froze, so the power grid failed. Millions in Texas without electricity. Now there are people here without electricity. Power grids do fail. Coal and natural gas should only be promoted. Oh, what a bunch of baloney. And, of course, fake news. Howard, if you're... no, wrong one. Hold on. There we go. Howard, you are spreading more lies. I'm lying. You are spreading more lies. You believe what the weathermen say, and you repeat it. Trust the groundhog. The weather guys were pretty good. The timing was off a little bit, but not too bad. All right, I want to talk about what's going on down in Charleston. It's been a very fast early part of the session, and I asked Brad McElhenney to join us to talk about a couple of things that are pending down there. Good morning, Brad.
Hey, good morning. I know it's a good morning because
are you guys have an ice?
I woke up and I checked to see if I have power, and I do, and so that made it a good morning.
That is a good morning. I was worried about that here all night, and I woke up to see if Biff was texting me because we had talked last night that he might not be able to get in this morning, in which case I could have slept in, actually, come to think of it. But Biff made it in, therefore here we are serving humanity as we're supposed to do. So how is it down in the Charleston area weather-wise?
You know, in my neck of the woods, which is downtown East End-ish, not bad, and it coincided with trash day. So I was trying to take my can to the curb without busting my can, and I achieved that. I was a little worried about frosted up sidewalks or my driveway, and it was okay. A little bit of sprinkly snow shower now. We did get a roads warning to the north of Charleston. You know, it's a big county. There were videos last night that were just eerie. People who live up that way were aiming their cell phone cameras at the woods out back, and it was this constant sort of crackle noise of ice on tree limbs, and the tree limbs were breaking, and it was just crazy sounding.
Hey, that's kind of the way it was here, too. Overnight, I was watching a lot of social media and the pictures and so on. A lot of ice problems overnight, roadways, backyards, decks, you're right, woods behind the houses, all that kind of stuff. But by this morning, most of that has cleared up, so that's a good thing. Let's talk about, they are moving quick. Man, they are moving fast down there this year, Brad.
They are, and they're doing it in a variety of ways. That, you know, there are substantial bills that are up quickly, particularly in the House of Delegates, but they've already had a Saturday session, which is extremely rare during the early part of the session. Usually you get them at the end when deadline is approaching. And bills are often only going to one committee before heading to the House floor. So no second committee to bog things down with details. So it has been lightning fast so far.
And that was the case with the charter school bill. Went to the House, Education Committee, I guess. They dealt with it very quickly in one day, and is it heading to the floor? Is that correct?
It's going to pass today in the House. It hasn't yet gone to the Senate. So if you're a citizen wondering if it's already ready to become law, that's not quite the case, but it's a third of the way there if you count the House and the Senate and the governor. And it was dealt with quickly a million years ago, Thursday, in the House Education Committee. And there was not a whole lot of pushback. I mean, some questions from delegates, but, compared to when the charter schools element of the broad education bill first passed a few years ago, very little compared to that. And then it went through, first reading, which is just to acknowledge it basically, in the House during that Saturday session. Then amendments yesterday, and this may be a theme this year. The amendments that Democrats offered were voted down, and the amendments that Republicans offered were approved. And that leads us to today, when it's going to pass. And I think there will be some discussion on the House floor, and it's probably the big legislative event of the day. But I don't have any doubt in my mind that it's going to pass and go to the Senate now.
The essence of this charter school bill is, number one, to allow more charter schools. Right now it's 3. I think they want to expand it to 10. It also would create I don't know what they're calling it, but some kind of an oversight board or a professional school choice board, right? That would be the entity to be the authorizer of charter schools. Is that correct?
It would be an alternate path to your county school board. As I understand it, county school boards or a combination of multiple county school boards still could approve a project, but this would be a central, specialized charter school boards that also separately could approve. And then there is an element of this that is virtual charter schools. And I don't know a lot of the details honestly, but I think that may be the most likely route of approval to a virtual charter school, because there may be offices or whatever, but if it's virtual, kids wouldn't be coming to a building in your community. So I think that will be, the virtual format will be less likely to be approved by Ohio County or Brooke County or whatever, but instead would be approved probably by this sort of centralized charter school board.
Isn't virtual schooling one of the things that a lot of people are complaining about to begin with? So that now they want to add a layer of virtual charter schools as well?
That was an argument on the House floor yesterday. I still would differentiate between remote learning, which has been what we've gotten into during the pandemic, sort of oh my gosh, the COVID levels are so high that even though we all meant to gather together in school, we can't do it. So kind of on the fly, we've got to figure out a way that you can learn from home, which may be a combination of packets being sent home, assignments, read on your own, and then some learning online. But the virtual, and I am not deeply engrossed in this, but as opposed to the remote, the virtual is meant to be a system that you choose and that is planned out, and it's teachers who are trained and specialized in delivering education through a virtual model. So, I think you can make the case that although virtual may have its challenges, it has not been the remote that we've seen just not operating in a way that's been satisfactory to anyone.
Very quickly, is vouchers part of this particular bill, or are they being treated as a separate bill?
That's a separate bill. It's called the Hope Scholarship, and there's so much going on. I will say I've not been deeply engrossed in that one, but it takes public dollars and provides them to families for private educational needs, whether it is parochial school or a homeschooling expense. And I think the amount is $4,500 or so. But it is a separate bill, and unlike a lot of these bills, it has gone to a second committee. It began in House Education and then went to House Finance, and now will go to the House floor. So that's slowed its track a little bit, but it is definitely a part of the Republican majority's desire to provide more, what they would call more school choice. And I think you could put it under the umbrella with the charter school expansion and some other things that are part of their education flexibility agenda.
Now, one of the things that I thought was going to see bipartisan support and would move fairly quickly would be an effort to limit the governor's emergency powers. And they are making that effort, but at least the Judiciary Committee had I don't know what it was yesterday. They had amendments that got pulled back and rescinded and sent. I mean, what the hell happened there?
You're onto something. So as I explain this, my apologies to your listeners, but there has long been a legislative uprising to try to have some balance of power during the pandemic that has been ongoing. The governor has used his emergency declaration of last March to make many of these decisions that have affected our lives during the year of the pandemic. And, I guess I would say in his defense that the pandemic has continued and it still can be dangerous to the community's health. So it's been unlike other emergencies, which are, typically mudslides or a flood. Those are the kind of West Virginia emergencies you get, and they don't last for a year usually. But there has been legislative misgiving about the governor himself, specifically one person making all these decisions without legislative oversight. And if you'll remember, over the late spring, early summer, a supermajority in the House of Delegates, Democrats and a bunch of the Republicans, wrote their names on the line saying they wanted to call themselves into a special session. All the Democrats and a couple of the Republicans in the Senate did that, but they just couldn't get the numbers in the Senate to do it. So that brings us around finally to the regular session now, and this bill has moved forward pretty quickly, sponsored by one of the House leaders, Amy Summers, Majority Leader from Taylor County. She's the lead sponsor on it. Well, the House Judiciary Committee took it up pretty quickly, took it up Friday, and began to discuss it. And this amendment came up. What the bill would do is, if the governor declares an emergency, that could stand for 60 days. And then the legislature would need to decide whether to extend it or not. So that's the legislative role. And they could do a 30-day extension, and they could continue to do 30-day extensions, or they could let it expire. But this would give them some say-so on the matter. But it was unclear whether the bill would apply to the current emergency that inspired it. So Delegate Pat McGeehan from kind of up in your neck of the woods, Hancock County, offered this amendment that would specify, it applies to the current situation. So once it passed, the governor would have 60 days, and then the legislature would have to decide whether to renew or not for the current coronavirus emergency. Well, McGeehan's amendment was beginning to be discussed on Friday afternoon, and the legislature is operating in these extraordinary times where they have very limited committee room scheduling. And the Government Organization Committee was supposed to be coming up next. So they said, well, let's deal with it Saturday. Saturday they come in and they pass McGeehan's amendment, and the whole bill passes the committee. Come back yesterday and they say, oops, just kidding, our mistake. We need to reel this back in, which they did procedurally, and brought it all the way back into the committee, and voted down the amendment the second time with just people being flabbergasted, including your friend Sean Fluharty of Ohio County, saying, well, this has to be the governor in the background losing his mind and getting angry, and that's why we mysteriously have this bill back in here. So, 3 days of drama over this for a bill inspired by the current situation that now will not clearly apply to the current situation.
It's a fascinating session. Unbelievable. I got to run. Looks like some good stuff's coming up today as well. So we'll be keeping an eye on things down there. And you do it for us as well. We'll watch at WVMetroNews.com and listen to Hoppy Kircher. Will give us all the scoop coming up today at 10. I got to run. Talk to you later, Brad. Thank you. Appreciate it. Brad McElhenney from Metro News checking in this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. It's actually it's after 9 o'clock, which means I'm late again. ABC News is already in progress.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Chill, this is the type...
Okay. I should abandon those 840 segments, Biff. Back in a minute, Biff. Okay, I'm back.
most of the season. Is it a good day to build a snowman? Should you take the kids sledding? Check out our app before you head out the door.
We're going to bottom out to temperatures in the upper 20s.
With meteorologists Dr. Dave Walker, Zach Petty, and me, Aaron Myler, we've got weather coverage you can count on. 7 News, working for you.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
Are you struggling to make payments due to an unexpected financial obligation or loss of income? Are you receiving calls from debt collectors? Are you feeling overwhelmed and unsure of what steps to take next? Then you need the experience and expertise of attorney Tom McIntyre and his staff to help guide you through these temporary hardships. Want to hear more about how Tom can help? Then call 877-456-4155 and receive a free copy of Tom's ebook, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. Tom's ebook covers many questions people have about bankruptcy and includes interesting stories about people who tried to avoid filing and people who have filed for bankruptcy. We think you'll be surprised to learn some interesting facts about bankruptcy. Call 877-456-4155.
My little girl hurt her foot and needed a doctor fast, but her physician wasn't available, and I wanted her seen as soon as possible. Then I remembered the Wheeling Hospital Urgent Care, right in downtown Wheeling at the Stone Center on Market Plaza. Open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day, the center is ideal if you have a sudden sickness or injury. The doctors and nurses were great, and they also provided x-rays, a pharmacy, and lab draw station. No appointments needed, and convenient parking is nearby. Wheeling Hospital Urgent Care. They'll take good care of you.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Paint? No. Paramount isn't just paint. It's the #1 paint in overall interior hide and stain resistance, providing the most advanced protection in just one coat. And now you can get that same outstanding protection with our new Paramount One Coat White. This first-of-its-kind one-coat ready mix white provides a beautiful white finish. You'll find Paramount paint exclusively at Menards. In third-party tests, interior paint claims versus super premium home center brands in eggshell sheen.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker Darnell Foster with a look at your local weather forecast for your Tuesday. Mostly cloudy, a few flurries, a snow shower or two, a daytime high near 32. Mainly clear through the evening and the overnight with temperatures down to about 8 degrees for the low. Clouds and sunshine mixing for your Wednesday with highs in the lower 30s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Morning, sunshine. Good morning, sunshine.
What's so good about it?
It's National Pancake Day.
Pancakes.
I love some pancakes.
Pancakes, please. Pancakes. A lot of pancakes.
Today is National Pancake Day.
Pancakes!
What a great excuse to have some pancakes this morning. Extra butter, syrup, we won't judge you. Pancakes. It's a good day to go out for breakfast. It's showtime.
From the West Virginia Broadcasting Hall of Fame, directly to you. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe, brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
Yeah. Oh, pancakes with butter and syrup would be good this morning. I like the sound of that. What do you think, Bill?
I'll second that. I could go for some pancakes right now.
My little buddy Teddy likes to put the chocolate sauce on his. I could have chocolate sauce, but oh man, just slather with some butter and give me some good old syrup, and oh, it sounds mighty good. I might be able to forego sausage gravy and biscuits for pancakes today. That sounds good. So happy Pancake Day to y'all, and maybe I'll celebrate. I feel like I should celebrate Pancake Day. I'll have to work on that coming up after 10 o'clock. 9:12 in the morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Well, weather is still a concern, although not as bad as we expected it to be. Overnight roads were terrible, treacherous, super icy. Lots of problems out there in the late evening and overnight hours. But this morning, we hit the high earlier in the day, by the way. We're working our way down on the temperature scale now. And the roads are mainly just wet. Not too much to worry about as far as slippery roads, at least not in the lower elevations and on the main roads and so on. I can't reference back roads or higher elevations, but it didn't turn out to be quite as bad this morning as it was last night. We are preparing for another day, though, just keeping an eye on the roads for you. Schools are on, again, weird schedules. Some are delayed, some are canceled. Many are on remote learning again today. Ohio County schools are on, they've canceled today completely, I guess. So we'll watch all of that for you. Power outages are an issue as well. Biffy, do you know how many power outages, how many people without power in this area? Do we know?
From what I had from the Big Seven, they said more than 1,000 customers in Ohio County and hundreds in Marshall County.
Okay.
So that's all I have.
County more. Okay. All right. So some of you maybe you're listening on your transistor battery powered radio. I don't know, but some of you have no power this morning. So just one of those mornings, and ice is a real problem for power. So weather is one of the things we're working about. Otherwise, today, charter schools, emergency powers, and the ability for social welfare agencies to discriminate are among today's legislative items. We just talked to Brad McElhenney about that in the last segment of the show. In the aftermath of Trump's acquittal, calls are mounting for congressional investigation into the Capitol insurrection. Some of the GOP are retaliating against their own who voted to convict Donald Trump. And there's some in the Republican Party who say it's time to break away and form a third party. We talked to our D.C. reporter Tom Squidieri about that earlier this morning. Child homelessness, a growing problem in West Virginia. I'm going to talk about that coming up in just a minute. If you would like to join me on the text line, you can do that at 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600. Feel free to use the text line anytime along the way. You want to offer a thought, ask a question, yell at me. That's what I think most people like to do anymore. Tell Biff what a great job he's doing. That's the other side of the coin. Everybody tells Biff, oh, you're doing so good, Biffy. And they tell me, I'm Monroe, I got to tell you, you're no good. It's just, but between the two of us, we even things out, I guess. That's the way it works. In the words of Zach Petty from the Big Seven's Weather Center, the beast that swung through the Ohio Valley is wrapping up, meaning Winter Storm Uri. Light precipitation, maybe a little bit of freezing drizzle, not a whole lot to worry about. Still could be some slick spots on roadways. As I mentioned, temperatures are dropping. We've dropped down to 25 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, and the wind has picked up a little bit. 17 degrees at the airport, or 17 miles an hour at the airport. So with a 25-degree temperature, 17 wind factor, the temperature feels like 12. So it's a cold morning out there, so be aware of that. 25 at the airport, 25 here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, and 25 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling, in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Biff, is my guest there again?
Still waiting.
All right, we'll wait. I want to talk about child homelessness, and we're going to get into that coming up in a little bit here on the show. I wanted to follow up on something we were talking about with Brad McElhenney in the last segment. We were talking about some of the key bills that are pending in the legislature in West Virginia. And yesterday, Senator Ehlenfeld, and I'll see if Bill can come and join us maybe tomorrow to talk about these things. Yesterday, Senator Ehlenfeld posted an item on Facebook that really distressed me. And when I reposted it on my Facebook page and Twitter account, a lot of people began getting disturbed by it. This is from Senator Ehlenfeld. Tomorrow, meaning today, the Senate Health Committee will consider a bill that would allow welfare service providers to refuse to help a child because she is gay, because her parents aren't married, or because of the child's religious beliefs or non-beliefs. Specifically, says Senator Ehlenfeld, a service provider would be permitted to decline services to a child under circumstances that conflict with the provider's sincerely held religious beliefs. Senator Ehlenfeld goes on to say, it's hard to believe that a bill like this has been introduced, yet alone placed onto a committee agenda, but the fact that it is on the agenda tells us the majority in the legislature is serious about making it law. So, says Senator Ehlenfeld, if you object to giving state workers permission to discriminate, you should contact the senators who serve on the committee and ask that they oppose Senate Bill 13. And Senator Ehlenfeld gives a link to the membership of that committee. Interestingly enough, at least two key Panhandle legislators are on that committee. Senator Maroney, Mike Maroney from Marshall County, is the chair of this committee. And Senator Ryan Weld from it's Hancock County, up north, well, not Hancock County, but he's the first senatorial district. Senator Weld is also on the committee. So two local senators are on that committee that Senator Ehlenfeld wants you to call and talk about. Back to the senator's comments, I don't believe that most West Virginians think that this is a good idea, but all it takes is one powerful senator who does to get bills like this moving. So we all need to speak up. If we don't, our state will be hijacked by a few extreme people with beliefs that are inconsistent with how the rest of us feel. End quote from Senator Ehlenfeld. And man, it's staggering to me. It's staggering to me that we would suggest that in any way we should deny help to children, deny help to children. Some of the comments off my Facebook page, my friend, the lovely and talented Martha, says, no licensed provider should be permitted to discriminate. Judy points out, well, that former idiot legislator would kill his children if they came out of the closet. So I guess it's out there. Steve, who often disagrees with me, not Steve from St. C, a different Steve. Steve says, this is insane. Susan Cookman, you all remember Susan. She's moved away from the area, but Susan said, puts a picture of the lead sponsor, Eric Tarr, says, the lead sponsor looks like this. I think maybe he should be on a register himself. Oh, Susan. My friend Cindy says, and Cindy is a social service provider, I totally disagree with this bill. As licensed healthcare providers, we have an ethical responsibility to provide care to those in need without discriminating against those who believe differently than we do. Teresa, who many years ago used to work with me, she now teaches religion out in California, said, and who has a handicapped child, says, the words refuse to help a child are reprehensible. I will forever be grateful to Amber, that's her daughters, to Amber's Department of Welfare caseworker who advocated on her behalf and made our adoption possible. Susan Cookman again. Susan says, I wonder how long this post will last. She posts on one of the committee members' pages, what the F is wrong with you sponsoring a bill like this? So everybody who commented on my page thinks it's ridiculous. This is being billed, of course, as a religious freedom bill, that this way, we should not be forced to give social service to people that are gay if we don't believe in gay. We help children. That's a period sentence in my life. We help children. Period. And to say that a social service provider of any kind, state or even private run agencies, should be permitted to say, no, mommy and daddy didn't get married, so too bad on you. We don't abandon children. Bill comes up for a vote today, apparently, in the Senate. It's Senate Bill 13. And if you want to offer some comments on that, Senator Maroney from our area and Senator Weld are two of the key players on that health committee before it comes out of committee. So I'm going to see if Bill will come on tomorrow, Bill Ehlenfeld. We haven't updated with Bill for about a week now. Lots going on down there in Charleston, and we'll see if he can help us to understand what's happening down there, and in particular what happens with this particular bill today. It is 9:22. While we're talking about the Capitol, Biffy, why don't we check our morning Capitol report?
This is the Metro News Capitol Report, brought to
I don't think so. I can't find my email. If we were, we screwed up, and by we I mean me. I'm going to see if I can find it. Tricia. Ah, here we are. Okay. All right, I've got everything up to the. Come on. Where were we actually? There's my request. There's her saying I'd like to talk about it. I gave her a date and time. I can't find where we. I know it's been confirmed. I don't know, Biffy. At this stage of the game, we'll just move on. I'm not hearing anything, Biff, just so you know.
Got the right gear. For a while, we had half people out, half people in, so that if something happened, we'd have at least half our staff in.
That's Bird White, the State Transportation Secretary. Floor sessions at 11 today. I'm Jeff Jenkins on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Speaking of things coming up today, the folks from TRIP, what is that? I forget what TRIP stands for. It's basically a committee. Oh, here, let me pull this up so I can get the actual acronym. I forget what it stands for, but a transportation research something or another. Anyways, they're issuing a report this morning at 10 o'clock on roadways here in the Wheeling area and how bad they are. Always good to have data and facts behind it, Biffy, although I think most of us could just say, yep, they're pretty bad.
Yeah, we didn't need a survey. All they had to do was just come here, and they could have asked us, and I mean, we would have told them. We could have saved them some time and money.
Yeah, exactly. The average driver in the Wheeling area loses $1,421 per year as a result of driving on roads that are congested, deteriorated, and lack certain safety features. Well, they lack safety features like a clean stretch of asphalt. They're potholed and pockmarked, particularly. The National Transportation Research Group, TRIP, is holding a news conference today after we get off the air, so I couldn't get this story out on the air today. And when we think of it, was Bird White, who we heard from in the Capitol report there. Bird White is going to be among those offering some comments about this, but the report basically says that our roads and bridges are in bad shape. And again, did we really need someone to tell us that? I mean, I'm glad we did. Don't get me wrong. I'm not criticizing the report. Yeah, the answer is we do need someone to give us data to work with. I often talk about that with the Center on Budget and Policy. What I like about them is they give us data to work with, not just anecdotes. But I think anecdotally, just about every single one of y'all listening would concur with me that the roads aren't too good. Now, there's some nice stretches of road, don't get me wrong. Well, wait, let me think.
Yeah, you know where they are?
Where are they, Biff?
The Greenbrier.
Ah, there we go, yes. Remember Ben Salango standing outside the Greenbrier on a nice brand newly paved road during the campaign doing a commercial?
Oh, yeah.
This road has been paved. It leads to the governor's mansion, not the governor's mansion. It leads to the Greenbrier. Anyways, I'll try and have more info about this for you tomorrow, this trip report, and the specific impact economically on the local area. Again, the one statistic they put out in their little preview is the average driver in the Wheeling area loses $1,421 per year as a result of driving on roads. And I assume that's blown tires, axles thrown out of line, all that kind of stuff. So some info will come out later today, and I will share that with you hopefully tomorrow. And I may have this would be the second day I've done this, and it may have been my fault. I thought we were going to have the folks from Kids Count on today to talk about child homelessness, and I may have screwed that up. It's hell getting old, Bill. Biff. Bill. See, that's how old it is. I'm calling you Bill. It's hell getting old, Biff, and I feel it. I feel it more and more every day. I gotta tell you. So I'll try and find out what I did wrong on getting that guest on the air, and because I did want to talk about this child homeless report. It's an interesting report from Kids Count, but somehow I've messed it up. So we'll work on that for tomorrow as well. And Thursday here on the show, our old friend Reverend Cummings is coming back, Biffy. And we're going to talk about Black History Month. This is Black History Month. We've been running a number of little public service announcements from the Reverend about, some aspects of Black history. And I always get texts like, well, why don't we have a White History Month? Or, well, why have Black History? Don't we just teach history? And I'm going to ask those questions of Reverend Cummings. Why do we have to have Black History Month? I have an answer, and I know he will too, but we'll talk about that coming up on Thursday's show, taking celebration note of Black History Month. And I asked Reverend Cummings to be prepared to talk about some of the people and issues throughout American history that featured prominent African Americans, so we can take some time during Black History Month to commemorate African Americans. So that's coming up on Thursday's side. Thought I'd push that to you a little bit. And something else coming up. Hold on 1 minute. Give me 1 second. Oh, the Mad Fest is coming. The Mad Fest. Now, one might think that's this show.
The what?
Mad Fest. Mad. The Mad Fest. The Mad Fest is coming to West Liberty University. And we'll talk tomorrow to Dr. Matt Harder from West Liberty about the Mad Fest. It's actually it's a contest they hold every year for design work and that kind of stuff. And they're looking for people who want to enter. So we'll talk to Dr. Harder about that tomorrow. Although I think that some people might think this is a Mad Fest. and it could use either form of the word mad. Mad as in, I'm mad as hell and I won't take it anymore. Or mad as in, he's mad as a hatter, that Monroe guy. We're the Mad Fest here. There you go. So we'll talk about the Mad Fest tomorrow on this Mad Fest. That's just a little look down the road. I thought I would share it with you. All right, 9:30 in the morning on the Watchdog Morning Show. Let's check in with the news desk from Metro News, get some updates from them. And betting lines, right? We'll get the betting lines to get to. We'll check in with the Big 7 coming up in a handful of minutes as well. We are the Watchdog Morning Show. Welcome to a Tuesday.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Tuesday. Mostly cloudy, a few flurries, a snow shower or two, a daytime high near 32. Mainly clear through the evening and the overnight, with temperatures down to about 8 degrees for the low. Clouds and sunshine mixing for your Wednesday, with highs in the lower 30s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
Hi, it's Hoppy Kirchville. Join me weekdays at 10 o'clock for Talk Line. We'll talk about the big stories affecting us in West Virginia, top political figures, sports personalities, sometimes just plain folks, offering their opinions on what's happening today. 10 till noon, right after the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Thank you for riding with the Watchdog. Live and local, just the way you like it. Give us a call and tell us what you're thinking. Locally, 304-214-1600. Out of the area, toll free, 866-514-1600 or 304-232-TALK.
It's your turn to talk. From politics to pet peeves, get it off your chest and on the air. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
Tell me how long you gonna stay here, Joe? Some people say
Penguins tonight, right, Biffy?
this town don't look good.
Yes, we do. We have the Penguins and the Capitals. And let me see. Yep, that game is at PPG Paints Arena tonight at 7 o'clock.
All right, check that out here on the Watchdog, AM 1600 WKKX. I do remind you that WKKX FM is off for a little while as some repair work is being done to our FM transmitter. So 98.1 is down, but AM 1600 WKKX is up and running and serving you as it needs to do. You can also check us out on TuneIn Radio and on our website, watchdognetwork.com. 25 degrees and cloudy at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 17-mile-an-hour winds make that 25 feel like about half that. Feels like it's 12 degrees outside. 25 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 25 degrees here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, and 25 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Biff, if your cell phone rings and it's not someone in your contact book, so it doesn't say Howard's calling or Big Rick is calling or whatever, it's just a phone number, do you answer that?
No. Because normally...
Yeah, me neither.
Mine, and recently, if it's a spam, it comes up, it actually says potential spam. So I know, so I'm like, okay, I don't answer it. Or sometimes it'll come up like either a state or a city. So I've had California, and like many different towns in West Virginia. Like I'm talking small towns. I think the one time it came up like Kingwood, West Virginia or something, and I get all these little towns.
Kingwood's very popular. Kingwood's very popular. I get a lot of Kingwood calls.
Yeah, I get a bunch of them from different cities in West Virginia, but my phone it comes up. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. But what I'll do is I'll go back and get the number and put it in Google and see what it is.
Yep.
And usually it's a car warranty. Something it's usually like car insurance, not car insurance, but something with the car. Yeah, warranty maybe. I don't know, parts for cars or something, or this part's up or whatever. I mean, it's just it's weird stuff, but it's actually kind of neat to see, you know, what it is. But that's usually what I do. I'll check it and then I'll go back in and then I'll block that number. I've got so many numbers from, you know, different towns like that are blocked.
Yeah, I take 100% the exact same approach. My approach is if I don't recognize if that number is not in my contact book, then it's not somebody I know or have ever had contact before. And if it is somebody I want to talk to or have something important to say, they'll leave me a voicemail. Pretty simple, you know. And if it's somebody I want to talk to, I'll get back to them. Say sorry I couldn't get back to you right away. And life goes on. And I'm like you, I always copy that number and put it in the Google search box and take a look to see every once in a while to show up. Every once in a while, it's something. You'll say it's Dr. Smith. Ooh, I didn't recognize that number, so then I'll call him back. Most of the time, it takes you to these websites like Who Calls Me?
Yeah,
where people can report spam.
Yeah, numbers like that. I've actually had a couple times where they've left a voicemail, and I know what it is, so I'll go in and check the voicemail, and it's a recording, and it'll say, to be removed from our list, either press 7 or press 9. It depends on who it's calling from, but that's what they'll do. To be removed, press 7 or press 9, and that's the voicemail. It's like a 10-second voicemail, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, delete
be
that
careful
one.
about that, though, because what happens if you push anything, they know they've got a live one.
Oh, yeah.
If you push 7, then it's like, oh, there's a human being there. All right, let's keep on calling this guy or gal. 94, the reason I bring it up, a new survey in front of me here, 94% of all people say they will not answer a call from an unknown number. 94%. That's an increase of 20% from a year ago. Pretty much all of us just say, if I don't recognize the number, it'll go to voicemail. Now, there are a couple of exceptions in my case. If, for example, I'm trying to I tend to schedule a bunch of guests all at one time. Usually I'll take an afternoon, and I send out a lot of guest requests. And I don't always know the numbers that people come back. So if I've got a lot of requests out, I will generally answer the phone. Probably half the time it's somebody I want to talk to. The other half it's a spam or a call, an irritating call of some kind. How many warranties do those people sell? Because I get I'm not kidding, I bet I get 20 warranty calls a week, either on the home phone or on my cell phone. And it's recently, when I hear the word warranty, just click it off. 94% of people will not answer calls from any unknown numbers. Now, one of the reasons they say is because the number of scam calls has simply gone up during the pandemic. There are just more and more scam calls. You know how many scam calls were made to Americans last year, according to the phone records, Biffy?
Oh,
I think you guess.
I was going to say, I couldn't, I don't even think I could guess.
50 billion. More than 50 billion scam calls made across this country last year.
That's with a B, billion.
With a B.
Okay.
Last month, January. 129.5 million spam calls made every day. Do the math on that. 1,500 spam calls per second going out across America. There has to be a couple of things always come to my mind when I think about this. Number one, they don't do it just for fun. There have to be people that are getting sucked into these things. They have to be making money off of it, right? I mean, they wouldn't keep on doing it if they weren't making money.
Yeah, I mean, why else would they be doing it?
So people are getting sucked into this. Again, I mean, I don't answer, and if I do answer, as soon as I hear certain keywords like car warning, just click it off. A couple of days ago, And it was obviously computerized, and they didn't have punctuation. The computer didn't recognize punctuations, and it was a voicemail. I don't know if it was a voicemail or if it was live. Anyways, and it was, you must return this call immediately. Return this call right away. Bad things will happen if you don't return this call. I'm going to give you a phone number, and when you get this phone number, you should return the call immediately. Do not wait. Do not wait any longer. You must return this call immediately. Otherwise, there could be serious consequences. And if you do not return this call immediately, then we will have to come get you. What? Excuse me? Well, come get me. come get me, because I'm not calling you back. But think about that. 50 billion scam calls to Americans just last year. 129.5 million just last month. 129.5 million just last month. There has to be a way. I know it's the old, we can send a man to the moon. You know, we can send a man to the moon. I can order something online and it's delivered to my house in 12 hours, or whatever. With all this tech, there has to be a way to keep that stuff from going onto my phone. Now, as you point out, Biffy, my phone now at least often alerts me to spam risk, right? Tells me it's a spam risk. But there's got to be a way to keep these things from me. And I'll let a spam call go twice. In other words, just in case there's a problem, or I misunderstood something. One time, I won't block it. And it says every call I get, I do a Google search on. And if it's shown up on my phone before, then I block it after the second time. I don't know how many calls I've got on my blocked call list. It's just amazing. Let's check in with Roy. Roy, do you have scam problems?
I do. Every now and then, I use my phone for business, so I get a lot of calls from numbers I don't know. But every once in a while, I'll feel kind of risky, and I'll start playing with them. And I had a guy call me about a warranty, and he said, "What kind of car do you have?" I said, "Well, I got a 12-year-old Palomino. Will it cover that?" He said, "I'm not familiar with that car." I said, "What's a horse?" And I said, "Now, what all will that cover on that horse?" I said, "Well, it cover like new shoes and like a bridle and saddle and all that."
I love it.
And that went on for maybe 30, 40 seconds, and then I was talking to myself. He hung up. I had a guy call me one time. It was on a Sunday, actually. And I actually looked the number up. It actually came from Jamaica, but he told me he was the vice president of Publishers Clearinghouse, and that I had won. The only problem he didn't understand, or he didn't know, was I've never played. And so I let it go on and on and on, and he finally got down to the point where he told me the driver's name, where they were going to get the flowers from, and he got down to the last, and he said, "Now, if you send me 10%, I'll guarantee that check." I said, "I ain't sending you any money." He got mad. He said, "Why didn't you tell?" I said, "Well, if you'd asked me that the first question, I would have told you that the first question." I bet that went on for 20 minutes. He was going on and on and on, and I had no intention to say. I mean, I don't understand how people get scammed. You know what? To me, it's just greed. People think they're going to win something, they're going to get something for nothing. You know, they just... I guess, but it amazes me. You know you're not. I mean, unless you are the world's stupidest person, and I don't mean to impugn anybody, but, I mean, you know there is no such thing as a free lunch. Everybody knows that. Nobody's going to call you out of the blue and send you $1 million or send you a brand new car. It isn't going to happen. Period. Yeah, the people think they're going to, cash in on this wonderful thing that... And if you haven't heard that by now, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, if you haven't heard that 1,000 times by now, I don't know what to tell you. You know, it's just... But my aunt, my late aunt, God rest her soul, passed away a few years ago. Wonderful woman. And I got this call a couple of days ago. You must make an immediate response to this call. You will be arrested if you don't make this call. It's very critical to make the... I mean, I knew it was stupid, but I said to my wife, I said, Aunt Peggy would be calling us. If Aunt Peggy had gotten that call,
Oh, yeah. She'd be calling me panic-stricken that, oh my God, they're going to come arrest me. What am I going to do? People.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's all. And that's why they prey on the elderly in particular.
Yeah. And, the thing is, I mean, how many elderly people that really are going to be arrested? I mean, that have done something to get arrested.
Right.
But they don't think of it that way. They hear that you're going to be arrested, and and quite honestly, the older people they had a respect for the law, so they thought maybe I did something I shouldn't have done. I need to get this straightened out. More so than think they're going to be arrested, they want to get it fixed. Get it straightened out.
Sure. Yeah, right. And that's because they come from that era where if you did something wrong or made a mistake, you fix it and move on. I just can't believe. But again, what did I say? 50 billion calls made last year. 50 billion calls made last year. Scam calls. So they don't make those calls just. But they don't make those calls for fun. So people are buying into this, literally buying into whatever it is they're selling.
Well, yeah.
And that absolutely amazes me.
Yeah, I mean, if you're making 120 million calls a month and you're only selling two things, you're not going to make 120 million calls the following month. You're going to make
right.
Right.
Exactly right.
It just amazes me. I mean, I don't know where these people. That'd have to be the worst job in the world. I mean, I just can't imagine anything any worse. But yeah, and a lot of it don't even come from this country. It comes from other places.
Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because you can't.
All right, Roy. Appreciate your call, Roy. Thanks very much.
Okay.
8 before the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Text line: spam, and more spam. Said Monty Python. Okay, that's true. Howard, I like to play games with the people on the other end of the line. I like to say, the job is done, but there's blood everywhere. Hello. Have you seen some of these? There's some of these show up on Facebook, like a cop gets a call. They're sitting in their office with their uniform on, and the cop gets one of these spam calls that, you are going to be arrested. Oh, I am? Really? Why don't you? Yes, I'll give you my address, and you come out here, and I'll give you your money. And of course, it's the police station. I love those things. I wish I had the time to play those kind of games with people, but I just don't. I just don't have the time. Also, quickly off the text line, Howard, FYI, as I look out my office window, I can see the yard across the way where the Department of Highways keeps their cinders. What was once a huge pile is now down to about 2 dump trucks. Hope they have more coming. All right, let's see what's coming from TV7 this morning. Bob Westfall is here. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Howard. How are you?
We're talking about spam calls. Do you take, if you get an unknown number, because your job means a lot of people will call you, I guess. If you get an unknown number on your phone, do you answer it?
Yeah, I kind of mess with them.
Do you like to play games with them?
Well, yeah, I tell them, you call the TV station and, why do you do these kind of things? And, and they realize they've called the TV station and they hang up really quick.
I'll be happy to send a crew over with a camera to record your comments here.
yeah, it kind of goes that way.
I've 50 had a number here in front of me. 50 billion scam calls to Americans last year. 50 billion.
I think I got most of them.
Yeah, I'm with you. What are you working on today, Bob?
All right, a couple things. We're checking out the road situation with the snowfall. A little bit of a rest now, but I guess looking like tomorrow into Thursday morning, we're going to go through it again. So we will be following that. And then another story out of Jefferson County. Apparently a murder-suicide out in Bloomingdale, just out by Wintersville. Taylor Long is out getting the details on that right now. Apparently, former boyfriend shot and killed the current girlfriend of a young lady in that area, and then took his own life. Terry Miller shot Robert Meiser 6 times around 1:45 this morning in Bloomingdale. Both have died. The sheriff says we'll have much. There was a presser this morning at 8 a.m. Taylor was there. So we will have the details on that at noon. She's on her way back with that story as we speak.
Okay, that sounds depressing, to say the least.
Yeah. Couple lighter stories, I guess. We're going to take a look at Ash Wednesday. Everybody's wondering, with social distancing and stuff like that, how is Ash Wednesday going to work? Well, apparently it's a little bit different. Instead of touching the forehead, the ashes will be literally sprinkled into the hair. And I guess, and I'm not Catholic, so I don't know. I don't know if this, but I'm told that this is how it was originally done. This is how it was done years and years ago. But anyway, with social distancing and protection against COVID, apparently that's how some of the diocese churches across the area, that's how they're going to do it. Well, anyway, DK Wright's going to talk to a pastor, preacher in Belmont County and find out what the details are on that. So that's kind of interesting for us. I've never heard of such a thing.
The pandemic has just led to all kinds of, I guess creative is the right word to use, creative ways to have to do things. The diocese says they're going to sprinkle ashes instead of impose them. We talked with Pastor Jones from the Thoburn Church, Methodist Church in St. Clairsville, yesterday, I think it was. They're doing drive-through ashes. You can drive through and they'll impose the ashes using a Q-tip. So just everybody's trying to figure out how to do it. It's very interesting.
Right. And also understand, I think we're getting the facts on the Belmont County vaccination clinic. DK is working on that as we now. They could be moving from Thursday to Wednesday, but we're getting the details on that just because of the weather. So that's kind of where we're at right now today.
All right, and my fear about this second round of weather coming up, I have nowhere to go. I'm a COVID hermit. I stay at home. Occasionally we go out, but I don't have to go out most of the time. Thursday, I've got my second COVID shot. I don't want to miss that. And that's down in Marshall County again. Got to go to the fairgrounds. And I'm looking at what Zach's telling us this morning, and I could be right smack in the middle of bad weather again. So the one time I got to get out of the house, it looks like I may hit some weather, but we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah. We're just talking about, Biff and I were just talking about how you handle working at home. This is day 2 for me working from home, and I cannot handle it. I'm ready to go back to work.
It takes a while to get used to. It really does. And I'm assuming that your team at TV7 is, they're pretty sharp and they can work with you remotely. If I didn't have Biff at the other end, Biff and I have developed a really good rapport doing this from home. If I didn't have a producer that could anticipate where I'm going and what I'm thinking, and that's very frightening, by the way, Biff, that you can anticipate what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
If I didn't have someone like Biff at the other end, it would be impossible for me to do. But we've got it worked out pretty good.
Well, everybody says Biff is the power behind the throne, so.
Well, I got to go now, Bob. Pleasure talking to you. People can check things out at noon, 5, 6, 10, 11, 5:30 statewide show. And, of course, always at WTRF.com and on your Facebook page. Let's see, tomorrow's my short day, so I won't talk to you then. We'll talk again on Thursday.
On Thursday, guys. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Pop Westfall from the Big 7. Hoppy's up next, statewide talk line. Biffy, I'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock. Are you back with me?
I'm back for a Wednesday.
We'll keep on doing it until we get it right.
That could be a long time.
Indeed.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
The U.S., more than 4 million homes.
All right, Biffy. For having lost a guest. Of course, I lost one and I added one during the show, so I added Brad and lost. I'll see if I can track her down and find out if I screwed up. I can't find the I have a whole series of emails, but I can't find the actual confirmation email. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe we didn't confirm it. I don't know. But I'll see. It's not that gigantic a story, but well, it is a pretty big story, actually. Child homelessness. So I really would like to get it on. So I'll see if we can do her tomorrow or Friday and see if I can get something on this trip report. They're doing a press conference right now out of Charleston on the Wheeling roads. I can try and get them. And I'd like to get Bill on, I think, tomorrow. So we'll work something out. And it's a short day, so I'm not sure who I can get and who I can't. We'll figure it out. We'll get it done. I appreciate your help. I'm glad you made it in without any trouble today. And, that's good. You know, I told Kayleen last night, I said, look, I absolutely firmly believe safety first. On the other hand, particularly when there's a potential for weather problems, it is important to be here, you know. I mean, we try to be live local information. If you're not here, you can't be live and local information. So I'm glad we were able to be here and do it. It turned out to be an okay show. All right, I'll be around today. Teddy's here again on Zoom, so so I think his first class is over. I think it's time to go out and play for a little bit. And then I think he has French later on today. I love to watch his French class. I just love to stand in the corner and watch him do his French. It's amazing to me. No, that's, yeah. Sometimes he'll look at, Granddaddy, why are you standing there? I'm sorry, I just wanted to watch, but never mind. I'll go away now. All right, pal. Give me a call if you need anything. I'll be around. Otherwise, I will talk to you in the morning. All right, as always, thanks for your help. All right, bye.
Historic gold to silver ratio strategy to grow your holdings, even if precious metal prices stay put. Call 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646. Get a free copy of the Silver Report now. 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646.
Several Americans are hurt after a rocket attack in northern Iraq. 3 rockets hit a base housing U.S. troops. A civilian contractor was killed. Another day in court for the leading voice against Russia's leader, Vladimir Putin.
Vladimir Putin's fiercest critic